Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. How are you doing today? Are you ready for new stories I prepared for you? Let's go to the first one, about OP's stepdad, who demands OP pay for her sister's wedding debts because she deserves a more expensive wedding than OP. Enjoy the stories, guys, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. I, 27, have two stepsisters, 29 and 25. I'm the only sibling who has gotten married, and admittedly, my wedding was even bigger than I would have liked had the decision been only mine. My stepsister had gotten our whole family involved during the planning period, and things were very awkward for me throughout. It seemed to me that my stepsister was essentially trying to compete with my wedding. At every step of the planning process, my stepsister asked me how much I spent and intentionally tried to spend more than I did. When she asked me about the cost of our venue, I told her it was free, as using it was a wedding gift from my husband's best friend. But my stepsister wouldn't accept this and went through a lot of trouble trying to make a booking just to find out how much they charged on average. She ended up finding an even more expensive venue with a longer waiting list, having to delay her wedding to this year instead of last year. Despite going ahead with the wedding, she was forced to cut down her guest list by a lot, so everything seemed a little bit empty, and she ended up paying a lot of money for guests that couldn't even attend in the end. A week ago, my stepsister was complaining about how the pandemic ruined her wedding, and she was paying off bank loans for a day that was ruined. This was the first time I was hearing about her using loans to pay for her wedding. So I told her that was a bad decision on her part, and she should have had a smaller wedding. She got annoyed at me and made a sarcastic comment about how only I deserve a big wedding and the rest of us peasants only deserve a small wedding. She ended up telling me she wanted a bigger and better wedding than mine, and she would have a redo when the pandemic was over. I told her she was weird for trying to top my wedding, and she deserved the debt for being so dumb. She was furious at me and yelled until I left the call. My parents and younger stepsister have all been badgering me to apologize since I set a trend for my wedding, and I should have been more considerate on how everyone else would feel. My stepdad has even suggested I offer to help her pay off some of the debt as a gesture of goodwill. Was I an a-hole? OP is not an a-hole. OP's stepsister is an adult, and her decisions were her own. She decided to top OP's wedding. She practically made her wedding day about topping OP's, instead of celebrating the fact that she's getting married. So OP should tell her she should enjoy her debts, and stop complaining to OP about decisions and poor budgeting skills that she willingly made on her own. And OP should absolutely not pay any of her debt for this. What a bizarre suggestion. When I, female 30, got pregnant, mother-in-law, my husband's stepmom, wanted us to use a name she picked. After a lot of arguing, we agreed the name we picked will be the one we choose, period. After my son was born, my husband's stepsister was visiting and took a picture of the birth certificate to show it to his stepmom. Tommy, my brother-in-law who was visiting, suddenly got into an argument with her, telling her to delete it and didn't let her leave. I had no idea what was going on. They kept yelling at each other. His stepsister called him a liar, a manipulator, then left. He followed her outside, and I could see them arguing again through the window. My husband was inside. I asked him and my husband, but they said it was nothing. Their stepmom came the next morning looking extremely agitated. Tommy started arguing with her. They were talking about the name we chose and how it wasn't what she wanted. I was ready to tell her to leave because she was being mean, till she came to tell us she took out a loan to pay off all of Tommy's debts in exchange to convince us to use the name she wanted for our son. But turned out the birth certificate said otherwise, which wasn't what she and Tommy agreed upon in writing with his signature. I was shocked, dumbfounded. She proceeded to demand we put the name she wanted on the birth certificate. Otherwise, she'd sue Tommy for all the money he took after he lied saying he convinced us. She said she had no problem calling her lawyer right there and then. He was telling her to calm down so they could figure something out. I told her this isn't happening, My son's name will never be changed for any reason, and that she could go ahead and sue Tommy since he went against the agreement, because that's the only option she had left. Renaming my son was off the table. After she kept insulting me, I told her to leave. Tommy started begging me to give him time to explain, but I blew up at him. He said that the money was originally his dad's, but she kept it from him, and my husband and he was struggling with debts and wanted to figure out a way to get a portion of the money back from her. The money was from her account, so this is a serious legal trouble he's in. He suggested renaming our son with the name she picked. Then we could turn around and go back to the name we originally had on the birth certificate, because when we move away. I refused, but my husband agreed with his brother. I asked if he was serious. He said he didn't want his brother to go to jail. I told him I don't care. I will be going no contact with their stepmom. My son and I owe her nothing. My husband denied knowing anything about it, but seemed defensive of his brother. He said his stepmom's always been a narcissist user and took advantage of them. He said I can't blame Tommy after what she put them through after their father's death. I don't understand why they don't just cut her out. It's been a week and we heard nothing from her. I don't let Tommy inside the house and I'm still refusing to do what he's asking, though it could spare him trouble. I would love to hear how she plans to sue OP's brother-in-law. I would enjoy reading her filing, because there's no court on this earth that would be able to enforce any legal action regarding the naming of a minor child that neither party can claim parenthood nor guardianship to. She has zero legal standing to name her step-grandchild. OP's brother-in-law has zero legal standing to name OP's child. She will get laughed out of court. Seriously, she's nuts, and her lawyer must be an unscrupulous idiot for drafting legal documentation regarding a child that neither party has any legal obligation for or towards. He's not in legal trouble. There's no way anything he signed can be used in a court of law. It's so ridiculous. So, a little bit of background. My fiancé and I are recently engaged, as are his close friend, let's say John, and his fiancée, let's say Marie. We are planning to get married next year, as are they. John has already asked that my fiancé be in his wedding party. Additionally, John and my fiancé are already committed to being groomsmen in another wedding that is also happening next year. The timing is obviously not ideal, as next year will be very expensive in terms of participating in other people's weddings and planning our own. The problem: my fiancé recently got an invitation from John and Marie for their wedding. Turns out, they decided to do a destination wedding in Cancun to keep their costs low. That's cool, their choice. However, anyone with a basic understanding of economics can gather that their costs are low because their guests essentially subsidize costs for them. Their wedding planner provided some quotes for us, and cost amounted to $3,500 with the wedding block discount and cheap flights. From my perspective, if you have a destination wedding, it is 100% fair for your guests to not attend. And you're not allowed to be upset about it. Also, you have to be upfront about costs, because asking people to be in your wedding party because the cost is way higher than it would be if they got married closer to home. My fiancé was asked before John even proposed, and of course he said yes, because who would say no? I cannot justify us spending this insane amount of money, as well as vacation time, on someone else's wedding. And with the specific circumstances, John and Marie are either ignorant to the real cost, or they are just being douchey. My fiancé is expected to go, and I will be his wife by then, so I feel it's weird if he goes. John knows that he and my fiancé are already in another wedding party earlier in the year, which incurs cost in itself, bachelor party, tux, etc. Probably at least $500 optimistically, not to mention our own wedding costs. And the fact that my fiancé only gets 10 days of vacation and cannot spend them on someone else's wedding. We need those days to visit my family, who is 2,000 miles away, and I will be very hurt if he skips time with my family during the holidays next year, as he has already suggested. He has also suggested using unpaid time off, but with all of these extra costs that make absolutely zero sense. We also discussed only him going, but that only brings costs down around $2,000, not even including groomsmen costs, because we lose out on some of the discounts, i.e., single occupancy is more expensive per person than double occupancy. So my question is, how can my fiancé confront John about the money issue? John has made it clear that he expects my fiancé to be there. And John and Marie have showcased their mentality of people who actually care about us will make the effort to show up, which makes people feel crappy if they don't come. Needless to say, my fiancé is nervous about confronting the issue because he doesn't want to deal with a big fight. Note, this is not the first time John and Marie have pulled this stunt. For John's last birthday, they made us pony up hundreds of dollars for a weekend to go to some expensive mountain resort. Again, it was expected that we go because we care about John. When we brought up the issue, it resulted in a fight, mostly from Marie acting like a child. I'm also upset that my fiancé is prioritizing his friend's entitlement and extravagance over our real lives, i.e., spending time with family, paying student loans, paying off his car, saving for a house, regular bills, etc. Has anyone else dealt with this issue successfully? Each time I try to discuss it with him, he dismisses my concerns and says we should discuss it later and that I should not think about it. I'm so stressed and have no idea how to deal with it. OP needs to say, "I'm sorry, but we cannot afford to attend your wedding. However, we would love to take you out after you get back." My sister and I hadn't been close at all given the age difference. The fact that she lived across the country and the parent that we share was horrifically abusive towards me. Still, when she was diagnosed with cancer in 2013, I helped by sending her some money here and there. She ended up getting a lot worse, and when I dropped out of college, for unrelated reasons, I got the news that she passed away summer of 2016 and was invited to attend the service, although I couldn't because I wasn't able to get off from work. Fast forward to today, when I get a request from her social media account, and looking through her post, she's not only alive, but way better off than I am. I'm glad she's not dead, but what the hell? I haven't said anything to her because I'm not sure A, how to confront her about it, and B, what I even want. I don't think I want to have a relationship with her given what went down, but mostly my mind is reeling and I'm trying to make sense of it. Edit. Lots of perspectives here. It looks like the only thing I can do is talk to her, but I'm still just not there yet. Judging by the pictures on the account, the cancer was real. There are a lot of pictures of her in the hospital and her recovery process afterwards, and through the time she was supposedly dead. There are a lot of recent pictures with abusive parent and his new family as well, so I don't know what to think. It was her husband who broke the news to me, and I didn't think to ask for proof because, well, who thinks of that at a time like that? She hadn't talked to me for a while because she said she hadn't been feeling well, and my only contact with them at that point was with him. Update. My sister, who I was told passed after a battle with cancer, added me on social media. After going through her profile, it was clear that it was definitely her. People encouraged me to talk to her to find out what happened. It took me a bit to come up with the will to do so, but I finally did. I sent her a very short but polite message, saying that I was glad that she seemed to be doing well, but I was very confused because I had been told she died. Apparently, our father told her that I was a huge source of negativity and that it was unhealthy for her to have me in her life while she was going through the cancer. She told me that she didn't believe that, but that he offered to pay for her treatments and such in full if she would just cut contact with me forever, and they came to the conclusion together that it would be better for me if I thought she was dead. She told me that she was reaching out now because he had given her permission to, as he felt I was in a better place now. I was pretty furious when I read that, especially since I had been helping her out financially and in pretty significant amounts. I know how stressful medical bills are and how much of a relief it would be if someone offered to completely take care of mine. But at the same time, I hate that our relationship had a price tag. We grew pretty close, at least I thought so, even commiserating about how awful that man had made our lives, but he was able to just swoop in so easily and manipulate us again. I didn't know what to say at first, so I let myself cool down, talked about it with my partner, and then ultimately decided to let her know that I appreciate her telling me the truth and that I'm glad she's well, but that I'd prefer if we didn't talk much going forward, as I was really hurt by what she did, and that I didn't want any avenue for our father to have any contact, much less control over my life. Wow. It's sad that OP's father has such an iron hold on her as to get her to agree to something so vile. OP's father was dead wrong. OP is not the source of negativity in that family. They are. OP made a good choice to cut her off.